Before we begin, here's a quick glimpse of what's ahead. A tranquil mountain creek, a hand-built bridge that stood for 15 years, and a power play from HOA President Karen sending cement mixers roaring across my private crossing. You'll witness neighborhood politics gone rogue, clever engineering countermeasures, covert cameras, drones overhead, social media fireworks, lawsuits, and a final showdown in court that redefines community boundaries. Strap in for bridge wars, underhanded memos, and a dose of poetic justice, so if you like stories like this, like and subscribe for more. I always believed peace had a soundtrack, the creak of my wooden bridge, trout splashing below, wind rustling pine needles. That changed one morning when I heard the rumble of a cement mixer. There was Karen behind the wheel, clipboard in hand, grinning as if the creek belonged to her. By the time I reached the porch, the bridge trembled under the truck's weight and my temper rose. When I told her she was trespassing, she shrugged. "Maybe build a stronger bridge, Mike," she said. I realized then it wasn't about concrete, it was about control. The creek behind my cabin ignores calendars. Spring snowmelt swells it. August sun tames it. 15 years ago, I surveyed the span with Miguel, rented a post pounder, drilled pilings into gravel, bolted beams to stringers, and decked it with hand-sealed planks. Scout the golden retriever watched eagerly. It wasn't a trophy, just my promise. I'd come home without asking permission. When the HOA formed, I paid the first beautification fee, $50 for a streetlight, no complaints. But 2 years in, ivy-like, the board grew invasive. Karen, armed with clipboards and community catchphrases, sent me a courtesy reminder about front setbacks, complete with a photo of my canoe rack 15 feet inside my property. I replied with my survey. She insisted the bridge and approach were under HOA jurisdiction. At the meeting, she flashed a butchered map, tapped a cartoon creek, claimed both banks were communal. I held up my official plat, iron pins, and legal bearings intact. "This is private driveway," I said. She smiled like I was a toddler and promised to consider it. 2 weeks later, a cement truck rolled over my bridge. I didn't hesitate. Installed a cedar post with a reflective private bridge 5-ton limit sign, chained the entrance, padlock gleaming. Then I called Karen. "You're trespassing." "We're improving the neighborhood," she said. "Cooperate." "Cooperation happens between equals, not a deed and a committee," I shot back. She vowed to send compliance. By noon, chain cut, sign gone. In its place, a pastel HOA notice, "Unauthorized restrictive device, remove in 24 hours or be fined." I photographed the boot prints, the sheared lock. Neighbors picked sides faster than gossip. Hannah texted support. Darren posted, "Bridges are for crossing." Miguel dropped by with coffee. "They're bold," he shrugged. "Bold gets you statues, bored gets you stupid," I said. Karen called another meeting, chairs in a circle, projector slides of pickleball courts, clip art of a bridgeless creek. She praised my spirit, then read from a landscaping manual masquerading as law. I laid out my deeds, road commission letter, county GIS printout. Her smile grew wider. "Council review," she said. "Meanwhile, construction continues." "Meanwhile, trespass continues," I replied. That night, I inspected the underside of my bridge by flashlight. Beams true, hangers tight, bolts countersunk. Midspan deflection under my pickup was minimal, well within design. I trusted my work, not her ignorance. At dawn, the second cement truck rumbled in. I stepped onto the deck, hand raised. It slowed. Karen leaned out, sunglasses riot shields. "Morning. Overweight limit." She pointed at distant tennis court plans. "And you're 3 times posted." I leaned in. "Your sign wasn't approved." "Neither is this bridge," she said, rolling up her window. The truck lurched across. A hairline crack glinted where sealer split. A warning, not failure. I mounted a second sign, ugly, threatening prosecution. and installed 2 trail cameras aimed at plates and faces. I logged crossings in a spiral notebook. Data is a story with receipts. The 3rd truck arrived at noon. I watched from the bank as the decking bowed, guardrail groaned. Physics drafted a more eloquent complaint than words. That evening, Karen slapped another pink notice on my post. Final warning, escalating fines. I photographed her manicure HOA bracelet ring. The camera caught her smirk of entitlement. Hannah brought peach cobbler. "They say you refused an ambulance last year," she whispered. "Funny," I said. "I built it wide enough for one." She shook her head. "People are scared to speak up." "People should try measuring," I replied. Next morning, Miguel arrived in his old blue Ford, thermos rattling. "Traffic problem?" he asked. "Weight problem," I said, leading him to the bridge. We crouched by the stringers. "Still solid," he tapped. "Built for life, not HOA egos," I said. He laughed. "So what's the plan? Fix it or teach them a lesson?" "Both," I answered. In my garage, we unfurled the original blueprints, dual-plate girders bolted for 15-ton loads. I pointed to a section where I could remove 4 bolts to shift load to outer beams, safe for light traffic but not 12-ton mixers. He warned, "Engineers demonstrate failure modes, we don't set traps." "Physics will do the talking," I said. Over the next afternoon, we replaced central plates with look-alike shear pin connectors, installed overhead and underdeck cameras, and tested with my truck. Sag and settle perfect. By dusk, the bridge looked untouched. I hosed away sawdust. Miguel grinned. "Ready?" I toasted his coffee. Let them walk into their own mistake. A few days later, I sat on the porch as the first mixer rumbled in. Karen stood beside it, barking orders. I tapped play on my tablet feed. The truck rolled on. Shear pins snapped with a metallic whisper. The deck tilted. The driver braked. Momentum spilled. Cement through the hatch, gray sludge frosting creek rocks. Karen screamed. "You'll go to jail, Mike?" I waved. "Might want to read the sign next time." A sheriff arrived, her pre-call. He surveyed. Stuck truck, angry Karen, my sign. "Private property, weight limit posted, case closed." Miguel arrived behind me. "You planned that too well." "Just enough," I replied. Karen filed complaints, county HOA, and blasted mass emails. I sat back with bourbon and trail cam footage saved to 3 drives. She'd misjudged gravity and public opinion. Drones hovered above my property marked HOA. I waved. "Make sure you get my good side." Someone posted a viral clip. HOA President's cement truck sinks, instant karma. Comments cheered me on. She retaliated with a cease and desist CC to half the county. I pinned it on my fridge. The HOA board splintered. Thomas, a retired attorney, told me half the neighborhood had had enough of Karen's overreach. Hannah launched a petition for no confidence. Signatures poured in. At the next meeting, Karen demanded we act for community safety. Hannah replied calmly, "We respect property rights and basic decency." The crowd murmured agreement. Karen slammed her folder. "Meeting adjourned," she shouted. Days before the hearing, Jacob, the treasurer, emailed me a draft of Karen's forged HOA map shifting our boundary of 50 feet. I sent it to my lawyer, Lisa Barrett, property dispute specialist. She smiled. "Nice catch. We'll keep this for the final act." When the preliminary hearing arrived, reporters filled the hallway. Karen paced in red. Her lawyer dripped shock. Lisa whispered, "Let her overplay it." On the stand, Miguel testified the bridge was built for 10 tons, not 12. I described my intent, to protect my property, not endanger anyone. Karen's lawyer accused me of tampering. I replied it was reinforcement. The judge laughed. "Physics doesn't take sides, it enforces limits." He dismissed her claims and referred possible document tampering for review. The courtroom emptied. Lisa nodded. "One more move?" I smiled. The twist. At a packed post-trial HOA meeting, I held up a federal permit, a 2006 U.S. Highway Administration license for a private crossing over a non-navigable creek renewed 6 months ago. Karen paled as neighbors gasped. Thomas revealed Karen had diverted HOA funds to sue me without a vote. She tried to adjourn. The audience cheered. She slunk away, defeated. That night I sat by the creek, hand on the railing. The bridge stood silent witness to every bolt, every plank, every patient fight. They came for my bridge. I gave them a lesson in limits, gravity, and the quiet power of proof. If they ever cross my line again, they'll know exactly where it's carved. If you'd like more stories like these, please like and subscribe.